What happens is Andrew Shue's elbow impacted Courtney Thorne-Smith's breast in a wincingly painful way.
Oh my God.
And that's the take they used.
Was the sort of these episodes to me, because you guys have gone ahead a little bit and we have as well. And so we're in an area where you're starting to see the longer term storylines be set up and then planning to pay off. Because for example, Keith just disappears. Like they don't really follow that. But this is the first time where like when certain characters are introduced, we know that, oh, we're going to follow them for a while. So these episodes are more like they're taking weird swings. Like the Sandy and Jake romance, it ends with no repercussion to the further episodes. So it's sort of just like trying something weird out for the sake of it.
It's sort of a closed loop or something, or, dead end.
But something always happens.
No, it is like, and if this is something we actually use, I'm going to like burden producer Chris with the bleeping. But like, yes, when you meet, there's something very sweet about when you first meet the Dr. Kimberly character.
Yes.
And you know she's gonna fucking.
Oh, it is a beautiful.
It's like, and especially where we're on this, like I don't know. I guess this is probably my first official rewatch all the way through, but I feel like we've jumped around so much that I've probably seen, this might be number 3, but I don't remember, I'm itching for those. I'm really excited about those little, like, I'm excited to see Kimberly. I'm excited about the glimmer in Michael Mancini's eye that develops, especially the next episode.
Yes.
So,
it's very origin story like.
Yeah, it is. It's like a little bit of a messy one, right?
Yes. It's cooks in a kitchen, trying different crazy flavors.
Because from a perspective, like, what do you make of a Sandy or even a Rhonda in the overall arc of the series? You kind of have two different conceptions of the show.
Yes.
If they matter, then it's a show about this complex with singles and the intricate relationships that they develop. If you take them out, it's a lot more like, it feels more epic. It's like Amanda.
Yes.
It becomes like
it's tied to
this is part of why we love the show. This is a weirdly multifaceted for, talking about a show that, like, in its ways can be trash. And I say that lovingly.
Oh, 100%. I
can be trash.
Well, it's really the Greek tragedies. It's the Greek plays. It's the choruses. Yeah. It's the crazy thing that I really love about this is, even though it's campy, it's a soap opera, there are characters and archetypes that just come back in storytelling again and again. And it's just so fun to see the, like, ridiculous 90s version of that. Yes, their spin on the business daddy is a business daddy. I love business daddy so much. Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of spin, that makes me think of D&D Advertising, which is the location where everybody works for Melrose Place, guys. That's me segueing into
hey there, Melrose Maniacs. You caught us just
chatting
in a casual chat
because it's real. You guys don't know is, like, we actually still talk about the show when this is off. Yeah, like, that is what our casual chatter is.
I don't want to distract myself with it, but I'm looking forward to what we talk about afterwards, as it is. But yeah, so welcome. I'm Wayne, and this is Lisa. And boy, aren't we blessed to be have her mind on display today?
Aren't you so sweet? Well, you know what? I was hoping you might compliment me more on my farting talents.
Well, for the listeners,
wow, I actually almost think that. Okay, here for the listeners, I very triumphantly and smugly held up a mug that says "#1 farter." However, that part was facing me, so I just held up a white mug saying, "I want you to compliment me on my farting skills."
And I was gonna, like, I don't know if it's yes and that's not my training, but I was gonna be like,
Lisa, I thought it would be rude to bring attention to it.
My spin was gonna be like, you know what? Once you're #1 farter, you realize that when you shoot for the king, you can't miss. And I'm not confident enough in myself that were I to come trying to usurp, if you will, usurp your. I would liquid you. I don't know that I'd make it.
You know what? Maybe
and then where would I be?
One chilly night, we'll find out.
You don't want to be behind in a farting race. It's just a fact. But what we're actually wanting to talk about, and farts are weirdly entirely relevant, it seems, although not literally. We're going to talk about season 1, episode 9 of Melrose Place, Responsibly Yours, and this raises a lot of emotions in me. I can't tell. I can't. Thank you for listening. I hope you'll still feel the same, better even, but it brings a lot of emotions in me, and I don't know what's going to happen because I'm really trying to go with this thing of being in the moment during the podcast. So I apologize in advance, perhaps, or like maybe it'll be nothing. We'll see. That's a real way to hedge. You should probably cut this out. Lisa, after watching Responsibly Yours, what were your overall impressions? What should we start by talking about? What's the big thing? What's the big thing for you?
You know, I feel like all of us most strongly responded to Billy's storyline, which is definitely the A storyline of this. You know, as someone, we were talking earlier about like character archetypes, how they develop, and then as people who have seen the whole series, revisiting and seeing now, I have always held that Billy is a liar.
Yeah.
And from the beginning, he's a liar. He starts everything on lies.
Jump. He comes in and bounces a motherfucking check while talking about how he's doing jobs that he's not fucking qualified for. There's fraud going on. In and around William Campbell Jr. Alison, as much as we're not like, how can you be a fan of who Alison
She's the worst.
Is.
Really the worst.
But like, boy, Billy just perpetrates fraud after fraud on this woman.
It's absolutely... It's totally in his character.
But it's also such a weird, like, you know, without being spoilery, and maybe one day we'll just drop it, or I don't know.
Do what feels right.
I kind of like letting first timers not like really have things ruined for them.
Yeah,
anyways,
sure, whatever.
Yeah, just what I was trying to say is we're getting to a schemy place with this show, which is like really exhilarating for me personally. I can't say you should love the drama, I guess, and the lack of schemes is just very apparent. But maybe then, sorry, I'm a little long-winded at the moment.
No, you're hungry for schemes.
I'm hungry for schemes,
I'm with you,
and I think that Billy's bullshit, as infuriating and stupid as it is, I think that what really there's a sincerity that Billy has.
He does believe his own bullshit.
That he believes his own bullshit. That in a scheme, you're like, I'm scheming. It's a very conscious act, and for Billy, scheming is like breathing.
Yes.
Or lying is like breathing in a way where there's never a long con to it.
Oh no,
Sorry.
No, I agree with you, because you are bringing up something that I think is great, which is there are people who believe their own bullshit. Billy is one of them. He literally thinks he's a good writer. And, like, guys, I have a screenshot of a poem he wrote. So this is the only thing you ever see him write. But he is very different from Michael Mancini, who will become to know Michael Mancini as,
because, coming soon, guys.
Spoiler alert, guys, I'm not going to give any details away, but he is always completely aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
He revels in the schemes, and that, I think, for us, that's what we're hungry for. We want some architects.
Yeah, no, perfect.
Because Billy has no end game ever.
Yeah.
He's constantly painting himself into. How is he going to pay Alison back that $300? And by
plan.
And by the way,
he'll just lie to someone else to get the money.
He literally didn't even. Remember when he goes, "Oh, work day and night." He didn't say that until she already goes, "You lied to me," and took it. That wasn't something he had already planned.
That wasn't his initial. His initial negotiating stance was not, "I'll pay you back.
I'll pay back whenever I pay you back, girl."
Yeah,
listen, I gotta find another Alison to finance your situation. He is such a grifter.
Yeah,
what a bad one.
I get angry. I get angry. It happens about some of the stuff. Like, I mean,
whatever you feel.
There's a child involved here. Let's get to that because that's something that really is motivating for a lot of like a certain sense of outrage, I'd say, about what's happening in this episode is that we're going to see Billy wheedle his way into the life of a single mother with terrible judgment, and there's like there's a raw nerve in this episode of a performance of this young man playing Martin, the single mother's only son, that is it's heartbreaking. It's
it really is terrible.
Heartbreaking to see this boy he's adultified. He's parenting his mom, and we'll talk more about that, I'm sure. and like Billy being a fraud, runs a fraud on this little fucking guy too. Like, just for a moment, Martin, as jaded as his heart should be, because I'm gonna get into this right away too.
Please.
We have information. Producer Ilana was very observant about some of this stuff. I got to credit her. We have information that Dawn is 6 months since her breakup with her ex, with her baby daddy.
Yeah.
And we also see in episode her son Martin say, "You promised you weren't supposed to bring guys around anymore. Didn't we talk about this?" Which is like, you know,
heartbreaking.
Like, when you put those two things together, it's like, what the, like, poor judgment is like, is lying is like air for Billy, and poor judgment is like air for Dawn, for Dawn Boggs.
Because she replies by yelling back at the kid. She snaps back at him and petulant. Says, she gets him on a technicality. Only if we didn't talk about it, but we talked about it, so you got to be fine with it. And this kid just looks at Billy with this poison of like, do you know what this lady's put me through? Do you have any idea what this woman has done?
What's wrong with you that you're here?
Exactly.
Like, there are several sort of like self-disqualifying moments.
Billy could have left at that moment. Instead, what does he do? He pretends as if nothing has happened. He goes, "Well, guys, I'm having a great time. What about you?" And it's like, man.
Let's talk comics, I guess. Or whatever he did. Whatever bullshit ass shit he did. I mean, like, I had a deeper breakdown that I don't know if I could even rehash of, like, the core motives for Billy. Like, you know what? What I'm hearing is a lot of my own voice.
Hey, no, please go on.
I want to, like, just volley back. What of what I just said makes the most sense to another human?
Well, all of it made sense to me. I think you and I have such a similar reaction. The feeling that I get is, it kind of maybe goes back to me being, my thought that they were taking big, weird, like, tonal swings. Because if you think about it, this episode, it's like there's like 3 different genres that we're dealing with. There's the campy soap opera world in which Billy is operating, and Alison. Then this
might be a standard plot line is some young dummy and there's a single mom, maybe.
Well, no, I just mean the tone of it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So the tone of, like, listen, Billy and Alison, like, this is a world in which people are blackmailing each other eventually. You know, like, it's very cartoonish. And then you have the introduction of what feels like a lifetime terrifying, sad movie of this single mother with her child. It's, it's an Oscar performance that we're trying to deliver. I mean, this kid is giving you Precious in this
precocious,
in this like sad,
like I shouldn't have to be doing this.
I shouldn't have to be doing this.
Like, what is with all of the adults I'm in contact with all the time?
And then the third genre that they also try to cram in here is a stand-up comedian. So they're literally trying to tackle so many tonal shifts. The jokes are so bad. Those are not even jokes.
They're
but that's a lot to ask of these writers, by the way.
They're sort of, and God bless people operating out of their comfort zone to some extent. But I mean, it's also like, and you've got more inside knowledge than I do, but like, you could find a guy
to punch it up.
Yeah,
I would think.
Okay. Yeah. With that said, yeah, Dawn does nothing but joke for a while, but it's never a full on joke.
And then she goes like hard reality. Like literally, she's going from everything's a bit to like, my guard's down. I don't know if I'm gonna make it in this biz. I'm a single mom. All that, like, and you're just like, whoa, dude, like.
Yeah. Wow.
And also the amount of time they spend together, from Billy making promises to her kid, is like 2 days. Within 2 days, he's like, "Hey, I promise I'm always going to be there for you." And then that's I think one of the last times he sees him.
Yeah.
No, then it takes him to Magic Mountain.
Oh my God! So he kidnaps him and takes him to Magic Mountain.
I think that I can jump right back on that rant from earlier.
Please.
Martin is a victim of the fraud that Billy is because he should know better. This kid has seen fucking enough to know that every day with Billy is not Six Flags. No. It's not fun at Six Flags. That's not every day. This is a special occasion that Billy's created to curry favor because to get what he wants. But he
who
now
fits the bill? Who foots the bill for this joke?
Oh yeah, Alison does.
Again, we were joking about that. Yeah. We were joking, and I was like, "Haha, who's paying for it, Allison?" And then Billy turns his wallet inside out. He turns his wallet inside out, and Allison goes and drops money in his hand. And he's like, "Thank you," and you're like, "Oh wow, blatant." Hey, business daddy.
Are you on something there, or can I go lateral on
Please
that?
go hard.
It weirdly evokes for me suddenly the like Billy handling the wallet in a just really hackneyed like like I think there's like that's like silent film shit. There's like I'm just picturing like a.
You are giving a lot of credit where it's not due.
Well, I'm not saying it's in a tradition. I'm saying it's an old fucking bit, but then also. When he gets the money from Alison and lies to her about what it's for and presents it to Dawn as what he has done for her out of the goodness of his heart and his concern for her, he fans those motherfucking bills out.
Oh my God, he throws them down. He took so much time and then throws them down on there, which also means that art department had to like do that, which also, sorry, I'm going to segue hard because
let's do it.
I cannot get past what I never saw before, which was how Allison smushes the bowl of bread. Guys,
I love it.
This is something thematically that none of us can get over.
We're talking about the dinner that was being prepared, the crawfish etouffee that does not look like that is what it is.
There's so many tomatoes in that salad.
Billy tries to drag people out with tickets to an open mic. We will get to that.
Oh my gosh.
But anyways, yes, in preparing these goddamn bowls of bread,
yes,
Allison, a monster, a human monster.
Well, first of all, I think everyone's, this is the 90s. This is heroin chic. Everyone is a young actor on this show. In fact, Billy replaced a guy who gained some weight, Andrew Shue. So I have a theory that you guys will see this in every single episode, even though characters own restaurants, food establishments. Every character has the most bizarre. If you're ignoring what they're eating, you're fine. But if you actually look at what they're eating, this dinner is bonkers. Like there's this big tray of paella or whatever, and then Matt's in the corner. He is chopping up so many tomatoes. Just tomatoes.
How much?
The bread bowl. Allison takes the bread bowl. Producer Ilana and I were looking at it like this is a Zapruder film. She goes, watch what she does. And I noticed, and before she transports it to the table, she gives it a little smash. She takes her dirty little fucking hands and she just smashes it down. She takes it to the table and Ilana goes, keep watching. At the table, they've regained some of their spring. So she takes them and she smushes them back down, even though at this point, they're not being transported anywhere. She needs you to know these are her pieces of bread. Everyone.
She showed those rolls who's boss.
She really. Thank you. Exactly. I mean, listen. It also reminded us. This is the same people that brought you Chili Dog Love Night because these people have the weirdest relationship with food.
The show is nearly set consistently in an alternate reality where it's like perhaps. It's aliens who are trying to recreate humanity, but and they can get a lot of things. They can get the fundamental avarice and pettiness in the human heart, but they just never get the hang of food.
They're like, it's literally window
There's like a chef as a character on this show eventually. That's not a huge spoiler. A chef is a character.
A chef is a character.
A restaurant, like you said. The restaurant becomes a key setting. Yeah.
Listen, this isn't going to spoil anything. Some guy named Kyle shows up, and his restaurant is named Kyle's Restaurant. And I have a theory. It's because they're like, you mean we have to pick a cuisine? No, it's just Kyle's. Whatever Kyle's serving is Kyle's. Because the cuisine is all over the place. One time I saw a lobster with green goo on it, and I took a picture. It looked like a candle. it was so waxy. I don't even remember what season it was, but every meal in this show is horrifying. There's also a scene. Oh, I may have gone ahead. Sorry, I've gone ahead at one point. There was one. Also, this
is not. I think we can talk food stuff.
Well,
unless you're like, well, you know, the time when was hanging off.
Oh yes.
The dinner they'd had before that was bonkers. Like, but like, yeah, like there's a. I remember at some point a character gets just pasta sauce dumped on them.
Yes, it's so aggressive. I think it's
well, but
I think it might still be quite hot when they did it too. Like something like it was just cooked.
There's just it's.
But food is a weapon on this show sometimes. I feel
like. Oh, tell me more.
The way they eat, they don't know what they're doing. They're like, because I mean, yeah, Jane bringing the dogs, the chili dogs with the big candles. You know, just suffice to say, Alison has her reasons for wanting that bread to feel like she's in charge, and that's what I'll say about that. I'm trying to remember is Billy in that scene?
Billy is at once trying to entice people away with tickets to an open mic, which you can talk to at any point. And at the same time, I think tries to horn in on a group meal where everyone's already paid into the groceries.
That feels very Billy.
It's something like that. Oh my gosh! Sometimes watching this, I was so boiling with rage that the details, some of the details that normally I thrive on elude me.
Well, I have a detail that's really going to piss you off,
and I'm so excited. Can I hydrate first? I feel like I'm going to perspire. Perhaps.
Oh, you're going to just be throwing bows because what happened was a bow was thrown.
Okay,
I did not catch this. This was another great.
This was
catch from
on
you guys
This View.
That I missed.
Was it producer Chris? Credit producer Chris. There was a moment. Whoa, boy.
Oh, Alison is sitting there. So he does convince Alison to come to the show with him. He gets her to come to the show. She's sitting next to him. He's laughing at what are not jokes. It is just a really weird speech that this lady's giving on stage. And it ends eventually. So we're supposed to laugh.
He's laughing on behalf of the woman he wants to fuck is what he's doing.
Exactly. He's going, hey, everything about me is a lie anyways. I might as well laugh like it matters.
And hey, Alison.
And then he wants Alison to laugh at the end, elbows her so aggressively, like it was like
right
in the boob. And as somebody with a boob, I have to tell you that would really hurt. And by the way, I also have to tell you, even if you don't have a boob, goodness gracious,
I had the sympathetic thing too.
We like all groaned.
Normally, it was like watching a dude get kicked in the nuts.
I imagine
it had that force. I swear to God. Well, and the theory in the room is that this was Andrew Shue. Don't mean to besmirch your name. He overcompensated. He missed what he was going for, which was the arm. At least you said this. I'm sorry.
Oh no. We can examine this at length.
Miscalculated, and instead, what happens is Andrew Shue's elbow impacted Courtney Thorne-Smith's breast in a wincingly painful way.
Oh my God!
And that's the take they used.
That is the take that they used. Because I feel like, you know what, now that actually, you know what, maybe it had to be. Maybe that was the first take of the day, and this little rambunctious dingling was like, boom, and she goes, so that is the only time I'm doing that.
Which, we could go down the, like...
For the rest of the episode, I kept saying...
I'm sorry.
She would enter a scene, and I would say, hi, how are you? I'm icing my boob. I'm still in pain.
That was it was the kind of there was a sound. Did I say that already? There was a sound.
There was an audible.
I can't
sound.
get over the fact that there was a sound.
Watch it over. Look at this.
I wish I'd gotten the time code, but
don't even worry. It's worth.
It's in there. Just Dawn's first stand-up act. She's in like the flower power dress, which is cute.
They dress her in this very specific idea of like it's
kooky.
It's so perfect because it's exactly what a writer of Melrose Place would think that a stand-up lady comedian would be, where it's just like, hey, it's me in a cute little dress just constantly going, hey, this is what it's like to date men.
Gentlemen. What are we going to do about the guys?
Ladies be like this. This is wild. When really I could be up here talking about the fact that I'm a single mother trying to be a stand-up. And that would be so much more interesting than this crazy shtick she's doing. But yeah, she pulls him in like it into her Lifetime movie, because then
the only place Billy can meet women is in and around his cab.
Yes!
Just want to insert that. I don't want to break your momentum.
No, but you're absolutely right. He preys on women who don't have transportation. That is really his...
but in a way realistic, in the sense that if that were your approach to dating in LA, what you would find in the 90s would be like a medical student, a dental student who gloms onto you and tells everyone about the sex and like is way too intense, and then like a woman who's just on a cellular level made of bad decisions. Oh, like that's he's fishing in a soiled pond, and I don't mean to actually like these women have problems. Is also the truth. But.
Oh well, the thing that I'm realizing as you were as you were saying about how he finds women with his cab, it dawned on me that wasn't there like a serial killer in Southern California who very specifically did that? And I feel like it might have been in the 70s. Listen,
true crime fans, those with knowledge. I'm sure there's some sort of down below, and that's your space to inform us, maybe.
But either way, the point is, it feels serial killer-ish, and Billy, the fact that everything he does is a lie till he gets caught, and he never has an exit strategy. Oh, it's just absolutely chaos.
It's just a moment to moment kind of like
here's my epitome of the Billy. Yeah. Things are out of control. He's in the wrong movie, and when he is in the middle of the fight that is now taking place, that he's burst in on with the baby daddy, the father of the kid, who they've cast him very villainously, because a lot of men who look like this come through Melrose Place who are bad guys.
True.
And so Billy butts in. The kid is crying. It's very dramatic. It's very high stakes. And little old Billy Campbell, with like nary a care in the world, in the middle, the first thing he says was, "Well, you guys just have to think about where I'm coming from for a second."
He can get there.
Billy.
He can get to. Well, this is another part of the rant. Just that, like, he is the main. I hear this, see this written online. Protagonist syndrome. If I understand it correctly, he's the embodiment of it. Like, no one else's wants or needs.
Yes,
but I mean, he is like. Oh, he's nailing it. He's nailing it as that.
Completely.
Like, this is all in relation to him. I see a cute butt. I woo a woman. I meet a kid, and whoa, wouldn't I be a good father? And like, it's like pathological and like gross.
The line that he crosses for me, where it gets really like, I'm just like, okay, this is completely indefensible. When you lie to Alison to get that $300 and then act like you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, that to me, it's like,
and what? She buys that too. She's like, well, I can see you were trying to be noble. It's like, you're sucked into his point of view now, Alison.
100%. Although I also feel like, no, I'm with you, but I do feel like Alison likes to collect debts. Like emotional debts. She likes it when Billy owes her for something. Like, she likes it when somebody's like Keith. The fact that he was means
spoilers.
He'll never...
We're gonna beep that out. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, I forgot. Were they not together yet?
Keith's not in it yet.
Oh, Keith's not in it yet.
We're pre-Keith.
Oh,
that's what happened.
This is what happens with Mel. No, this is fun.
But fun. It's interesting because
you get creative with the bleeps. Like, I don't want it to be a bit that I'm saying I'm putting stuff on your plate exactly, but I worry about that. But then also like an old timey like a car horn.
Yeah. This is gonna be fun because they're all gonna go over what you're doing right now. You're like, can it be like this?
Yeah.
Like this?
Oh yeah. Right, so we were talking protagonist syndrome. We were talking,
and then Alison's, complicitness, and then the debtness of it all. And but yeah, he really, just when you're starting to think that she's like doing this to be in control of him, he makes it. It's just like she could not have imagined that's what he was doing it for.
We were having fun watching it in real time with a narrative that like the pivotal thing in the whole episode is not dumb Billy meeting this bad judgment woman. It was the boob, the boob elbowing pissed off Alison that she was now going to, for instance, encourage Billy to do something stupid like get into the life of a single mother and her child, just to like see it blow up in his face. But then you get to the part where he cons her out of more than half of the money she has in the bank when her car needs care in order to peacock it into a nice fan and slap it on another woman's table. I mean, like...
You just illustrated something really beautiful that I love about Melrose Place. Is when somebody's scheme, another person thinks that they've got one up on them, and then they've got one up on them. That is... There is a time when they're doing that so well, and I think this is the first time where you... Oh my gosh, that's the first time I'm seeing it, where because really, that's what you love about Melrose Place, is it's literally like that card game War, because at every turn you could have the higher card and the other person's on the bottom.
There's some amazing examples throughout the series. Yeah, like we were talking about, and it's funny because it would, I think we should try and do it, is making a power meter after each episode.
Yes,
so like who's up, who's down. Like
that's a good point.
We'll see if that's a fun thing to do, but like it really wouldn't apply now. Everybody's
Not yet.
just
the dynamics are all over the place.
And I have these words stasis problem written down. Can we go here? Did I pull you out of something?
No, this is fantastic.
Is that for both the A story and the B story that we haven't really gotten to and maybe don't need to say a ton about, there are things that end up where they started.
Yes.
Billy is unchanged by what happened to him in this episode.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And likewise, Jake and Sandy are right back where they were emotionally when that episode started. There's just some like noise in the middle. There's like a little bit of like, volatility, like we can do this as friends. And okay, I'm gonna wrestle myself in and just note that like, Lisa, you got something?
No, please go ahead. I was just pointing because I was.
You're with me?
To hear your point. Yes, I was with
you. I appreciate being with me. I'm not always with me.
No, but I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, as you're saying this, I'm realizing, okay, from the behind-the-scenes perspective,
yes,
let's think about it.
Yes.
When you talk about storylines where essentially the characters end up in the same place, that means you don't have to commit to multiple episodes with these characters. Because if Sandy had gotten in a relationship with... Well, yeah, actually, because back in the day, we don't now, because we don't get ratings really overnight in the same way that we used to. If the Jake and Sandy storyline had done really well, maybe Sandy would still be around. I think they were trying out different.
Right.
This is very much a Billy episode. I feel like, if I remember correctly, I don't know that we have him go off on his own with an outside person as much as he tends to stick within the complex. And so I really think these actors, this was a world in which people could get cut, that you wouldn't necessarily be on the show much longer if the fans weren't into it.
And by the same token, I mean, I know they did kind of a definitive stop to it, but theoretically, if Dawn had been a cult favorite suddenly,
100%,
she would pop back up and we'd see more tortured Martin,
Yeah, why not? Give her a couple more episodes.
Really, I love this perspective of I'm glad you took it here.
Well, I'm also remembering, honestly, I think everything is so up to date with the numbers and information that you're getting that, there used to be a time when it was oh my gosh, the ratings are coming in at this time, and it's a very specific way to receive them, and you run in and you give it to the person, and they take the look, and now everything is so instantaneous, and and there's so many different choices.
For the listeners, I'm doing a hilarious bit where I'm miming being on the phone. Please go ahead.
Totally, yes.
Killing it.
Well, yeah, it was...
Don't look.
I think that probably played into the fact that, it doesn't bleed into any other storylines. You're still just kind of it's sort of just treading water until decisions are being made.
Beautiful.
That's what I thought. But, because I did mention Sandy and Jake, we could briefly touch on that just because I think it was so boring. It literally, they did this whole thing where...
It was a Mancini level non-plot.
Yes! The whole thing was about how they seemed to acknowledge themselves. They had nothing to talk about. Everything about their connection was physical. And then once they sort of realized that, Jake got angry, she got angry, and then they decided to just be exactly where they were.
Yeah, that is the essence of the story. perhaps more fun is the genesis of this. And it's an example. There's a whole dynamic we got into earlier off mic about like people seeming to understand that others are vulnerable to bad advice, and yet at the same time having that same characteristic. And the bad advice in this case is Dr. Mancini and Jake have this conversation about like grass is greener on the other side. Like, oh, look at you, young Seattle stud running around with the ladies. And Jake's like, yeah, you've got this stability and like a woman to love you. Like, what would that be like? and so I almost want to dispense with this. And so Michael lies, as is going to be more of his character in the future, and says that he and Jane got dated for a while first and got to know each other. Makes no sense with the 2-year timeline we've been getting of their relationship, and the fact that he was hitting on her from the jump. But you know, so that inspires Jake to now kind of impose this idea on Sandy, who I think maybe was still feeling favorable toward him because of the thing last episode with punching the stalker.
That's right.
So she's feeling favorable toward him, and he's like, hey, let's give this thing a real go.
Yeah,
but this is, I'm going to tell you what the rules are now, Sandy. And she's like, and she just sort of like pliable in a way and still got a heart for Jake. It's like, sure, sugar, whatever works for you.
Exactly.
And it's a little bit of a story of him setting up some rules and then forcefully breaking them, not in a non-consensual way, but in a stupid way.
Well,
and I think that's what she's mad about. She's like, hey, I didn't ask. I don't think she asked for this.
No, she specifically was like, hey, the thing that's crazy to me is Jake should be with somebody whose impulses are the same as his. And that's the bottom.
A real fuck machine.
A real fuck machine who's just angry. I mean, he gets so angry. Like it's insane what a rage monster this guy is. And then there's also, but also actually, you know what? Let me backpedal a tiny bit. I do feel like we were watching Grant show like try new things with his hands.
Acting,
yeah. And so like I think I was feeling like he was being aggressive. I think he was like, you know, that Thomas Calabro, he's got that real Italian expressiveness. And because that like laundry room scene, he's like, I don't know what's going on. And he's just, and I'm like
gesticulating. What? Actually, be careful with your wrist.
He's using his arms. He's giving. He's got the white tank top and the jeans. He's got the white tank top and the jeans, and he is gesturing wildly as if he's in a street, you know, Marlon Brando, A Streetcar Named Desire. And so I think, I now take it back. I think maybe the actor made some choices that made me think that Jake was like a real rage monster, but I think it's just the bigness of his expressiveness.
he sort of, I'm sorry if there was I think he delivered the lines angrier than they were written is what happened in that case. It was I feel like he kind of amped it up, and they did a cute back and forth cut thing. He said a little he said she said thing that was whatever. You know what? What else is there about them? Because I want to take it somewhere fun real quick.
That was kind of the extent of it, I think.
Okay, so as a side thing, I think we almost independently and then collectively came up with like this moment of Jake and Michael envying each other's lives, and as a young stud and a young father to be, echoes. There was a movie where they did this called The Change Up.
There's been a lot of movies.
Starring Ryan Reynolds was the ladies' man and Jason Bateman was the family man, and they. I think that they might have been. It's weird. I know.
A body swap.
There was a body swap that I think came from them pissing in the same fountain, possibly. So, anyways, the way it evolved when we were talking about it is to do that kind of change-up thing, but with Michael Mancini and Jake Hansen, that they fall in the pool in the midst of this, like whatever. For some reason, they fall in the pool.
Then lightning strikes,
and when they reemerge from that water. They're staring at their own face because they are now in the other man's body. And what would happen with that? We've got some wild ideas there. We were having fun with. We think you might too, listeners. But we're going to kind of like, that's going to be a mini episode attached to this one. So check that out if you want to. It will be a gloves off conversation. So we'll be taking the breadth of the series in mind when we talk about that. So if that's your jam, join us. I know we'll be having fun, but
oh my god,
yeah.
I'm like so excited because we can just go ham. There's so many Ugh.
Yeah,
but yes, thank you for delivering that.
This is like the Loki of the Melrose televisual multiverse. Like you can jump tracks to another world based in this reality, but a little different. It'll be fun. But
I love that. Yes. I think that wraps a nice little bow on that storyline to completely.
At this point, I've had so much fun talking about this here. Thank you.
Me too.
Oh, you know what? Something we haven't gotten into. Can I wrestle it to a place?
Please.
You've been on the hustle as an improv artist in Los Angeles. I, in my time, have been like a very dedicated hobbyist of a stand-up comedian, largely open mics, hosted some shows that I put on, and a supportive person allowed me to have a venue for. So, like, Pace, Lisa's earlier sort of comments about how the writers aren't quite getting it right. They're out of their comfort zone. What we have at the beginning is someone handed tickets to an open mic, and like that doesn't actually wash with reality because, and you know, is this too obvious to talk about, or will be a little peek inside and like our specialized knowledge about and experience about this?
I personally think that if you are in the industry, you know this, but I feel like maybe outside of the industry, just if somebody ever tries to pay you with quote unquote tickets to an open mic night, number one, you're already going to have to buy drinks. So these are not free. This is, and she said, bring some friends. So here's what I love. The grifter gets grifted because this is
a standard grift, by the way.
You know what? She's already taken his cab fare. She gets $300 from him, essentially from Allison. And he is such a knucklehead. He tries to Allison gets dragged to that show.
It's laundered assistive money. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Secondhand laundry. Because then I would be willing to bet you money that Allison covered whatever there was at the door that the tickets didn't cover or whatever. Yeah, then the drinks, like she's paid for these drinks.
There should be a sideline.
He hangs up his wallet upside down. And you're like, oh my gosh, you owe me money. How am I drinking? What's going on?
If it's any fun at all, we might make or suggest someone make a receipt for this episode that shows the balance sheet of what Alison incurred. That would be interesting. With a little bit of research, the 90s dollar. Offhand, I remember that like the consumer price index kind of thing. It's like whatever money you hear in here, double it, and that's kind of today's dollars.
This includes her share of the groceries for that dinner that Billy ate and clearly did not pay for it. Everybody else probably split it evenly.
Yeah, I mean that's just another piece of Billy's thing. So the real deal is just that like there aren't tickets to an open mic aren't a thing. You just want people to show up. An open mic is free, and the idea of ticketing for it is bonkers as far as I know. I mean, also maybe there's I never got into like the Comedy Store thing, which was like its own ecosystem as I understood it of like stick-to-itiveness being a value where you basically just hung out and didn't get on stage, and if you did that long enough, that kind of stuff that I don't like. And so another thing that I don't like that Don's piece actually represents, I won't babble forever about this, but is the Bringer show. And I didn't know about this until it was around me. It's weirdly like presents as a step up from just open mic, like come as you are, sign up, go on stage. It presents as that. It presents as a show that's being put on for an audience, a paying audience. But what they actually do is that there's a ticket guarantee you have to do. So basically,
it's the MLM of
this.
Comedy.
Yes, this is exactly the MLM of comedy.
It is so insidious, and also you brought up a great point, which is you might not perform at an open mic. You got to sign up on a list, and you may or may not be on there. So I love the idea that she's like paying him back, and he might show up and buy some. Allison buys some drinks, and she might have not have even performed.
Yeah. And I mean,
that's how much of a non-present this is.
A good enough, popular enough open mic does fill up like organically. And then there's another thing where it's like new guys don't get the spot. I think, and if I'm besmirching something I know nothing about, I automatically apologize. This is just impressions that I gained, perhaps erroneously, not to hedge, but like I'm kind of talking on my ass. I never wanted to do a Bringer show because I didn't want to impose. I felt like asking people to come to a free show just to hear me do fucking jokes was imposing enough.
By the way, exactly. But if you are acting like that is somehow paying somebody back for something, an asshole. That's the part that's crazy. That is like, hey,
thanks for bringing it back around. That's enough about that.
It's like driving in the car. Like, she would have been better off giving him some Chuck E. Cheese tokens for the usefulness of these damn tickets.
But it is again like a little bit of a self-disqualifying thing. Like, with a certain amount of experience, you know not to pursue someone who would try to pay you with tickets to a bringer show even.
Well, it's all people scamming each other. Because she got a free ride home. He tried to pick up a vulnerable woman without a car. It's amazing. And that's why when this poor child is caught in the crossfire, these irresponsible adults who all deserve what they're getting, that's exactly what happens. Oh, guys, this kid, his fate. I just have to say, producer Ilana Googled the young actor who played Martin with such intensity to find out that he became the person credited as MILF guy on every single American Pie, the original and the sequel. And I would like to, theorize that this poor child was sent on this path after this insane storyline with his mother, which scarred him so much that he's like, now I'm only attracted to women who do that.
I wish I'd taken care to write down the actor's name because he did a fine job in this episode. It was like...
Well, he's credited as Martin, and if you look on IMDb, Martin from this episode, from Melrose Place, episode 9, season 1, you will then find that he is MILF guy on American Pie.
We didn't do the full research. There may be American Pie sequels we don't know about, but he got all the way to American Wedding, so that's... I feel like that's a lot of pies.
Is there American Divorce?
Possibly. I mean...
There's a 50-50 chance.
It's like... Oh, never mind. I was going to say something weirdly catty. What do we... Is there anything that... I feel like we covered it pretty thoroughly.
I feel good.
We could dive into some just of the usuals, like fashion and food that we didn't...
Food? Honey, all I cared about was making sure that Alison squishing that bread like a monster was included. Because that was absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Talk about who Dawn is.
Oh, just the actress who plays Dawn is well known to all of us from the film Just One of the Guys, where she plays, and this is from memory, we forgot to do the research.
I love it. She's a journalist.
She's a high school journalist who's unable to get her story published as a woman. For some reason.
So they won't let her. I think they won't let her at her school paper.
She's too pretty.
Something like that.
So she masquerades as a boy in order to get her thing published, but then complications arise. And it's actually, she's so good in that.
She's great in that.
That movie is one that, like, I don't remember how poorly or well it ages, considering it's kind of playing with a trope that might be very sensitive or hurtful to someone who's...
We haven't revisited it in a while, but anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's who she is.
But I remember growing up, it was fun because as a girl...
Joyce Heiser, we do some research.
Well, I will say, hey, regardless of how it holds up, I do think when you're a girl and you're thinking about, like, oh, what would it be like to get to go behind these closed doors? I think that idea alone was the one that stuck with me.
It is. It's fun that way.
Yeah, but yeah, she was very her character really stuck out in this episode. Like, she doesn't fit in with any of the other, like, the Melrose Place people. It's very serious. She's leading a very serious life.
It's the lifetime of it all. Yes. And that wasn't the kind of soap this was meant to be.
Yeah, it was very funny.
I mean, we talked about the crawfish etouffee. We talked about the hands of the thing. Rhonda looks great in orange. I feel like I'm just doing mop with that, though. Let's go to
go ahead.
Let's follow your thing.
I was going to say, however you feel about the episode is however we have to do, like cards, schmards, whatever, kid. Right. You just feel it.
I think we know what the worst thing Alison did.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I'm gonna have to think, actually, because you know what? I got thrown after she got a boob to the tit because I was like, a lot maybe justified.
That stimulates some sympathy for Alison that she normally doesn't earn.
She normally doesn't earn, but I do. I feel like it is pushing Billy to date a woman with a kid. And you have enough information to say, oh, maybe take it easy. But, like, he is promising to be in this child's life within first date.
I don't know if we've explicitly said it, but like he's a boy. He's no place trying to be a figure in a boy's life.
Oh, he's dressed like him. They have the same wardrobe.
But all of which would look great on you.
Thank you, because we've already talked how I would love these outfits.
Yeah, she would thrive in Billy clothes, folks.
Billy clothes.
Yeah, and yes.
One thing I do want to say that I noticed was because it almost got lost in the shuffle with how boring this storyline was. But when Sandy comes slamming on Jane's door, just pounding, comes to the door and is like, I don't have any dresses. My dress closet door it won't open. I need Michael. I don't have any dresses. And I'm just laughing with producer Ilana because Jane is a designer with a bunch of dresses. Sandy, it never once occurs to her to go to Jane, oh, could I borrow a dress for the occasion? Because we've seen them. She is a terrible designer. And that part made me laugh so hard because Sandy, I almost feel like Sandy was like, here's I'm in Sandy's brain, right? Sandy's like, oh shit, this dress thing won't open. She's like, oh God, if I come down there reasonable, Jane's going to go, don't worry. I have a bunch of dresses you could borrow. So I need to come in angry. I need to come in unnecessarily angry so that she's not going to go, well, why don't you wait? Listen, I found these dresses.
Because even Jane has the sense not to say that type of shit to someone who's already pissed off.
I mean, yes, exactly. That's the only way. She's like, otherwise, Jane's going to go, don't you worry. I found these 3 dresses and I cut them up and I sewed them into this lampshade. And you can wear it.
I call it a Mancini original.
The Mancini original, So I just thought that was very smart on Sandy's part.
I'll do you one further, and how's Sandy going to say no? Is the other thing.
Exactly.
She's a kind-hearted woman. So I did want extras of the week really quick because that was fun.
Oh my God, there was
at
a very
Shooters
couple.
when Jake took his neighbor to her place of employment for a date. What was going on in the background was some very hot dancing. Those who like to watch along with us. Right around the 17-minute mark in the episode, it was something else. We talk about the behind-the-scenes thing of in the mindset of someone who is there as a day player in that regard.
Oh, yeah.
How do you stand out? And those 2 dancers did it. Chef's kiss.
And you can't give enough credit to people who we know are dancing to nothing. Because in the moment, there is no actual music on that set. And they made a moment. Mm-hmm. I hope they're a real couple who got booked together, and then we're like, you know what, honey? Years later, they're watching. They're like, remember, we got lucky that night. We went home and we were like, look at us, our careers are taking off. We're so sensual. I mean, that's the best dancing I've ever seen on the show.
That's a beautiful story. Yes, it is. We do want to do something that will become more of a recurring feature, which is producer Ilana's coffee count. Producer Ilana is tracking, I think, something very specific. I'm going to speak on her behalf and let her correct me if I'm wrong. And that is, eventually it gets bonkers on the show how often people ask for or are offered coffee verbally. And so we are tracking this because we think it's important. And in this episode, we do have one of that. Billy asks Dawn, and this is on a little bit of a technicality, but I think that it's literally does meet the criteria. Billy asks Dawn, the stand-up, to be invited in for a cup of coffee. I mean, he's trying to fuck.
Oh, he's definitely...
And he was the thing that I think dudes this whole increasingly have the sense not to do was sell. He tried to talk her into it.
Or anyone.
She's like,
neither men or women. Nobody should be.
Yeah.
You shouldn't talk anybody into anything because at the end of the day, you want them to want to be there, and you know what? Hey, this can be applied to that lady telling him, hey, bring somebody to the show. No, everyone is tasking everyone else with some non-consensual behavior, and it needs to stop. And the only one who has a sense of what anybody should be doing is that kid who was like, can you just talk to my father for this $300 for the car? It makes more sense than this guy you just met.
Yeah.
Who you're trying to pay in these tickets, Mom. He's going to kill us, by the way.
More about what a man-child sociopath protagonist syndrome person ability is, that he initially demurred that Dawn could keep the money that she was handing him back. That was Alison's money. He was going to generously let her keep that.
He's handling other people's money.
I think it's time for quotations. We can take this in for landing and then really get into some deep stuff with fountains. So in this episode, I thought it was only guys with the dickhead quotes, but we could still alternate. Why don't you do Michael?
I would love to.
And this is a little bit of irony, which we'll get into in another podcast.
Yes, it says here, Michael to Jake, about starting a relationship with friendship rather than sex. Oh, this is a Mancini original indeed. Just a matter of controlling your animal instincts.
Yeah. And that's if you
something
take
he
Michael
does very well.
If you take Michael as one consistent character going through, that is very solid. That is said with a great deal of irony and but in character that he could say it with a straight face.
Well, he acknowledges it. It doesn't mean that he can do it.
Yeah. Here we go. This is going to be Billy now. No context needed. Guys, I'm a lot more responsible than you think. You know, I have some charm, intelligence. I'm just not that obvious about it.
Let me see that.
Billy on Billy.
Said,
ladies and gentlemen, that's Billy on Billy.
Well, you know
Billy's estimation of Billy, fortunate to be
very accurate. It's very accurate. He is telling you he thinks that responsibility equals charm and intelligence.
Conniving.
Yeah,
together you get conniving.
He thinks that being responsible means you're a snake, and he's right. Oh my God, Jake to Sandy.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
This
is like some insanity. Well, you know what they say: abstinence makes the heart grow fonder. What is even happening? This is like.
I didn't get a full-on read. I think he was making a joke, but I don't know.
He needs some sex ed.
I'm Billy again, to Dawn. In that moment, after a lot of shit had gone down, it impacted the life of her son. Listen, just try and understand how I feel.
Oh my God.
Words, his epitaph, basically.
Martin is sobbing in the corner, watching his life crumble around him, and Billy's like, "This is very inconvenient. I can't deal with this."
I meant well when I did all that stuff.
Oh, I love this.
And this is the pet. This is the ultimate and a good one to close on.
This is the lesson Billy ultimately learns. God, I was something. I mean, for a little while there, I had my own family,
and that kills me.
That makes me so
I've had
happy.
so much fun. I can't be so angry about it. But that is the mark of the stasis of the series being in a little bit of a holding pattern. That's what he got out of all of that. That is the look of a string that bounced and then came back to rest.
I love it. I just think, this is setting off a lovely tradition on this show of children being needlessly tortured through their parental, romantic relationships. Every single kid who comes through just has the worst parents. It's amazing.
Well, and the characters all do too. It's fun. But guys, this is where we just recognize our Melrose maniacs as we're heading out the door at the end of a fun day at work. Thank you for listening. If you're hearing this, you've done me a favor because you've given me, you've validated this thing happening. So thank you. And you're smart to do it because, who doesn't want to hear what's in Lisa's head?
Oh, well, everybody. I'm telling you, it's utter chaos.
But we love it. Bye, folks. Come back for the little side episode we're doing, and then we'll be back again with episode 10. Kind of a milestone for us.
Excited.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
You're right. This is madness.